Good morning, everybody. Hope you are enjoying the summit. I don't know how many of you have enjoyed yesterday, but today I have just come in the morning and I have got a glimpse about what happened yesterday, and it was fun. There was award ceremony. Mohit was there, and he had a lot of fun. You know, so D2C industry is growing, and we are talking about the state of D2C in 2024. Before that, let me give you a context. You know, Indian consumer story has got its own protagonist in every decade. It was the foreign brands in 1900, then came the supermarket in 2000s, then it was the era of e-commerce marketplace brands, and in the post-pandemic era, it is the era of direct-to-consumer. So these tech-savvy companies, online-first companies, have changed our habits to an extent that we know what to have in our snacks, how to take care of our skin, how to do luxury retail shopping. So our entire ecosystem of buying has changed over the years, and thanks to these D2C brands. As per statistics, we have now 9,000 plus brands in India who is projecting an accumulated revenue of $25 billion, and which is supposed to grow by five-folds in the next 5 years. So which is huge in number. And this is the rosy side of the picture, but there are stories which we are not hearing. We are not hearing the stories of the failures. You are not hearing the stories of how the venture capitalists are not investing on some of those companies. All how the customer experience is getting changed, how brands are focusing more on brand marketing than performance marketing. Today's session will cover some of those aspects. We do not have much time. All the founders here are well versed with this landscape, and they know so much that 45 minutes is very less for all of them to cover their own subject. But we'll try to touch upon some of those key aspects from all the founders, and we'll touch upon some important aspects which you all can take away from this particular session. With that note, I want to ask Harsh, the co-founder of Soul Store, to talk about his journey. Before I go to Harsh, I just want to tell you that this is a very interesting journey which Harsh and his three friends have. He was a lawyer and he has three engineering friends who started this Soul Store, which is from the soul of them, who didn't want to do job and wanted to start a business. And also they are very much fascinating. They have a fascinating journey to bring the pop culture in India. Like Harsh himself knows how to tattoo. This is very surprising. So I don't know why he has learned that, and I have to go to him and to learn how to tattoo, but he is somebody who knows pop culture so well, and he has tried to brought that in India. Over to Harsh. Harsh, if you can just tell us about how you started the Soul Store and how all of your four friends soul meet and created a brand which is so popular these days.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Yeah, unfortunately, I couldn't make it to the event physically, but it's great to have a chat with all of you. As you mentioned, right? I mean, we were 23, 24-year-old kids, one lawyer, three engineers. And I think the common thing that we had is we weren't happy with our jobs. We had very little money in savings because most first jobs don't pay very well. And we'd all gotten decent marks in our graduation. So for us, honestly, this was a 6-month passion project. If it continued for longer, great. If the business didn't work out, we could always go back to a job. So I think with very little to lose, and I don't know, maybe the excitement or the naivety of being kids, we decided to start the Soul Store. And when we were thinking of what we wanted to do, I think the answer was pretty obvious. We've been pop culture fans our whole life, right? Movies, TV series, comic books, sports, music. We've all grown up consuming this content. And there was a clear gap in the market in terms of getting good quality, affordable, authentic pop culture merchandise, right? For example, you wanted to buy a superhero t-shirt. you either bought a fake. And I think that time back in 2013, even Amazon, Flipkart were just starting off. So the two options that you had as a customer were either buying fakes off the street in your local market, or you had a cousin in the US or in the UK who came back once a year and got you these products. So we assumed that there would be enough of pop culture fans like us who wanted to wear their fandom, but they didn't have an option which is affordable yet great quality. And that was the Hello?
Yeah, you are frozen for a couple of seconds. So the last part
Got
of
it.
the conversation could not be heard.
Sorry for that. Yeah. So as I was mentioning, that was the genesis story behind the Soul store. Just us trying to bring pop culture to India and some sort of fun into our day lives. Fast forward to 2024, we are India's biggest brand for official merchandise. So today we have more than 200 plus partnerships across all genres of entertainment: superheroes, cartoons, movies, TV series. Tied up with Netflix, we have music collaborations, sports collaborations. And the larger vision of the brand is to be India's #1 destination, not just for pop culture, but all your lifestyle and casual wear needs.
Wonderful, wonderful. I'll come back to you with some questions specific to your brand, but before that, I'll move to Mohit Jain, founder and CEO Miraggio. Miraggio, what a name! So you have started your entrepreneur journey at 20 years, and I was telling you offline that at 20 I didn't know what to do, and you started a whole set of business. Now, tell us something about your journey.
No, yeah. I started my journey at the age of 20. I belong to a business family myself, but I wanted to start something on my own. So I started drop shipping some products while I was studying in Canada. Made some good money out of it as well, but it didn't satisfy me because there was no brand or impact that we were creating. So I finally decided to move back to India in 2018 and started Miraggio after doing a lot of research into the market and finding out that there was a big gap when it comes to fashion handbags, and eventually started Miraggio. Again, fast forward to 2024, in some of the fashion platforms, we are now second or the third largest brand and growing over 120% year on year, and will continue to do so.
Wonderful, wonderful. And you have this unique name, Miraggio. Before I move on, can you tell us what the story behind Miraggio?
No, honestly, it was a great name. It sounded well. But the story, it originates from a word called mirage, and Miraggio is an Italian name to it. It means endless possibilities and endless fashion, and that's what the meaning of the brand is. But honestly, while I selected the name, I liked the sound of it, and it sounded well, honestly, and that was the only reason we finalized on the name. And yeah, I think that's the story, and I'm glad you like it.
Yeah, I loved it. Okay, I'll move to Surender. Surender is Rajpurohit, founder and CEO TURMS Intelligent Apparels. He has a legacy. He had started his journey long back, 15 long years of experience, and he had done his own startup investment as a venture capitalist, and then finally he acquired this brand and rebuilt this whole journey of intelligent apparel, and this is awesome. This brand is so favorite of Shark Tankers. Like they also have a category in their website, Shark Tankers favorite, right? So tell us about your journey, Surender.
Thank you for inviting me and letting me share my journey on this platform. This journey, I was into corporate world for almost 20 plus years, and obviously when you grow up in the ladder, you reach a level where you feel that you have done enough. So last my role, I was CEO for a Volvo joint venture in South Africa. So Volvo buses, Volvo trucks. We have a JV with Aisha, so we were just launching these things in South Africa. Prior to that, I was head of strategy in Asia for all Volvo brands till Australia. So it was Asia Oceania. When we were doing this, Volvo used to select only few, and we used to get the ground up greenfield projects every time. Maybe because of our DNA or our attitude of going and hustling in the market, doing research. And in most of the places, I was the employee number one. We buy the first table of or chair in our office and stuff. So, that gives an confidence that, when you're building so many businesses for your corporate, names, one day we should get a chance that when we will do of something of our own. And when COVID hit, and after my 4 years of journey in South Africa, I was back in India. So we started angel investing and investing in few startups, and that gave me a very good kick that, this is exactly what I want to, sit with young founders, mentoring them. And then when we got this company, which is now we have taken over, it's called TURMS Intelligent Apparel. And I was customer of this brand 3-4 years back also. So I love the product. I have given a lot of gifts to my many dealers across the world. People used to love it. And when we found that this is now, there's a chance that, they have gone down in COVID so much, and there's nothing from the founder's point of view that they can build up now, no point investing from our side. And that's where we decided that we will completely take over this company. And we took over, and then I resigned from Volvo. And I took this project as we have a group called Mission Terms. So that's my mission nowadays, and last 1 year, they were close to some minus 20 plus crore. And now we are at the ARR of 20 crore. And they were never into profitable. And we decided that then when you do any business, you have to do your economics in such a way that, from the day one, if you don't have vision for profitability, you will never be a good startup or a good business or a good dhanda pani in local sense. So, we have done, and fortunately, we got a very good traction. We did a lot of back-end efficiencies where we are now able to make profits. And Shark Tank has given a next level boost for our brand, and that's a separate story. And parallelly, we got a lot of endorsement from celebrities like Mahendra Singh Dhoni, and he's not our brand ambassador, but he's one of the biggest fan of TURMS. So you find him wearing every 1 or 2 weeks, you will find him in TURMS, and people say, "Dhoni क्यों पहनता है?" I said, "आप पहन के देखो, आपको भी पता चलेगा." So that's the story.
I just remember one of my conversation with one of the investors that they really, I do not want to disclose the name, so they had one brand which tea brand, and that got promoted by Oprah Winfrey in the US. So, and they said that that is the biggest boon of being, in the D2C field where you get some accolades, and you have Mahendra Singh Dhoni. So just tell me one thing, like you have made this minus 20 CR company to now 20 CR ARR, right? So how did you do that within this short span of time?
No, I think, when people say D2C, first thing which comes is your front end, you have to find customers and this. I think, more, your effort has to be 70% back end and 30% front end. If you're thinking profitability point of view. So if you are efficient in your operations at the back end, which is our USP, we even go to the minor detail of that. If your packing is optimized to, couriers, they charge 500 gram, 1 kg and all that. I think even till that level, our team has done the optimization. So our packets are 0.973 kg. That gives you an 1 kg kind of, and you save close to 33% in your courier cost if you do optimization. Second, I think when your warehousing and your return management is again a very big subject. People are focusing only on front end sale. In D2C, if you're not able to manage your return and your refurbishment and back to your stock in your warehousing, I think that's your 30 to 40% of your profitability game. And I think, if you don't have a proper and that's actually an area where D2C brands or ecosystem has to evolve. I am trying to find any company who I love outsourcing. I don't create asset heavy kind of things. So I have everything. I have a tool for it. Only thing where I have really invested my team's money, energy is the refurbishment and the warehousing, where I think that's a lot of leakages which actually hits your bottom line in the first shot itself.
Wonderful. And when you are talking about this, I will come to Ankit Bachhawat, co-founder Litmus. So Ankit has a pedigree of IIM Bangalore, and then he co-founded Sourcelight first, and in 2011, and then in 2020, he has started with this journey of Litmus with his brother Ankit. So, Rohit. So Ankit, tell us about your experience in the supply chain problem which you have solved in your first venture, and then you have your own D2C brand, right? How did you, bring that experience to your own brand?
Hi everybody, this is Ankit. So our first venture was Sourcelight, where we used to manage logistics and supply chain for all the e-commerce websites. So we did that for 6-7 years, and we saw a lot of problems for them as well. And it was a learning process. We used to optimize it daily. You cannot solve supply chain one day. So we used to do it on a daily basis, and we learned a lot from them, and we have delivered a lot of efficiencies to them as well. So in 2020, in COVID, what happened is while doing all of this, we were exposed to a lot of, customer front end also. So in 2020, me and my co-founder Rohit, we started this brand called Litmus with essential target of giving good products at affordable prices. So we started, our first range of products was men grooming. So we started with 10-12 SKUs of trimmers, body groomers, and all those products. It was an instant hit for us. So we got a lot of traction during COVID because the demand was so high for all those products. So that was the journey from when we started Sourcelight to Litmus. So now we already have more than 20 plus SKUs. We are into men and women grooming both. And we are available omni-channel on all the marketplaces, and we have a D2C website of our own as well.
And one interesting insight which I got from you, that your main demography is more than the women demography, like 60% of your consumers are men. And that is also, in this grooming segment. So can you highlight that to the men here, like people are really not shying away of using all those grooming mechanisms?
So definitely, the male grooming is one of the category which I think will grow every year 10x, because people are spending money. Male grooming is equally important as of today. Everybody wants to be well-groomed, well-shaped, and men are spending money. So we don't shy away saying that, yes, most of the customers are men, and we are targeting men as our 60 to 70% revenue in the next 2 to 3 years. And we are developing a lot more products which men can use efficiently, which have not been earlier exposed as well. So we are focusing a lot on men products as well.
Wonderful. I'll come to industry veteran Mr. Kumar Saurabh, CEO Planet Retail Holding. So, sir, 20 years of experience in this field. So you must have seen a lot of ups and downs. You are part of Accessorize London, which you are now Indianizing it for your Indian consumers. Tell us about your story for the audience, and please give some tips for the audience who struggle to cope up with personal failures, cannot take that personally, and cannot move on. So your experience and your learning, which will help all of us. Please share those.
So 2 parts to your question. First, I'll tell you about the journey of Accessorize in India, and I've been part of Accessorize on and off for a period of time. So Accessorize London has a very different business model. When we started, had a very different business model, and that is the model they work still with almost all the other countries which they are present in, 50 plus countries which they may be present in. It's a push model where they design the product gets shipped to the UK warehouse from suppliers all over the world, and it goes to the countries wherever they trade, including India. That's how the model was for a number of years, till like 4-5 years back, when we started to make a separate model for India. Now, the limitation of that model was that A, you're not buying the products that you believe is right for your market. B, you're not designing the product to begin with. So we started to work on both the things. So number one thing that we changed in the model was that we started to work with the suppliers directly of accessorized suppliers. There were still accessorized products, accessorized design product which goes the world over. So whatever 2000 options they do, we were still taking that. But those, then we were buying in the depth that we believe was right for the Indian market. And then we also developed the partnership with the suppliers to place replenishment orders for them, because earlier it used to be that whatever came. If you have a bestseller, it may not necessarily come to you again, and what may come, you may not be selling good of that. So that was an inefficient model, but that is how accessories work the world over, still works the world over other than India. So that was step one. Then we started to move into the part of the customization of the product for the Indian market. So Accessorize has its own design team in UK, Indian team has its own design team in India, and we are now working and developing products. It's already been in progress for last year and a half, 2 years. It's only gaining momentum, more and more categories we are now getting into with that we are now designing products for the Indian market. The brand signature has to be there because we don't want to dilute the brand. But then we are introducing categories that may be relevant for the market. So recently, a year and a half back, we had started fusion jewelry, which was taking the ethnic and the Western jewelry into account, and then make something which is much more relevant for the Indian market. So that is helping us a lot in our e-commerce, our D2C, and it's just started. I wouldn't say it's even 5% of where we want to be. It probably will take us 2, 3, 4, 5 more years to reach where we want to be. On the failures part that you asked about, I mean, anybody who is in business for any period of time knows that success and failures are part of it. I mean, we try to take both of them in our stride. The only thing that we try to do, we debate. We are very quick decision makers, but still we debate. We talk a lot within our team. So within the core team, we talk a lot. Very quick decisions. But we try to take into account 3 scenarios broadly. Things will happen mostly whatever we think will happen. We go wrong completely, which we try and plan not to go wrong. And we go right. If we go right, well and good, fine. Let's do more of it. If it's broadly in line of where we want to be good, how can we do more of it? If we go wrong, and especially, I mean, say from a D2C scenario, when we started we were going wrong more of the time, but we try to do things in a manner that we can course correct very quickly. So we try to remain nimble. We try to correct our mistakes, failures, whatever you want to call it. And it's a day in, day out thing. Nothing, as long as planned right, the model is kept right, it's going to happen. You have to take it in your stride and just keep doing. And you have more rights than wrongs, and hopefully the rights are bigger than the wrongs. Things will fall in place.
I have just another question, follow-up question on this. Sure. That many of investors, like our D2C brands who started and, failed. So they took it very personally, and, they take it like, it's like my own failure and could not move on. So, and you're saying that it's, as you're a veteran, you have seen that earlier also. So how did you tackle that at that moment? So did you just go for some break or something to tackle that?
Okay, personally, I may be behaving very differently from many people, but the way I personally take it, it's the same. Success and failure, both actually,
because we don't
really
celebrate
affect
failure like success,
yeah,
right? So
yeah,
if there is a taboo
really.
in
So
India, we don't.
Okay, one more thing that we try to do, and we are fortunate to do that. When we plan different levers. If we go wrong one place, what is there something else to compensate for it? So it's like on a totality basis, the business is never at risk. The totality level, the cash flows are never at risk. The profitability is almost never at risk. So when we're doing things, we're taking all those things into account, and then it's just about, you have to keep doing, you have to keep trying. We failed a lot in D2C. I mean, the numbers that we do today, 3 years back, even the wildest of imagination, we couldn't even think of those numbers. So the best of the best of the best case scenario was much lower than what we were doing. But then we went out and said, okay, fine. So it happened actually one day we were sitting in one of the meetings. We said, okay, fine, let's go out and do this. Now, what's the worst case scenario? Nothing happens. But the business model, as I said, is one of the levers. The other levers will come back and support it for a sustainable period of time. And that's how we try and do with everything. We go somewhat in a manner that it has to eventually become profitable. We are very profit-minded from that perspective. But we don't want everything to become profitable in one go or one day. We keep the business model profitable overall, and then we support the other levers for as long as it may take, as long as it's progressing all right.
Wonderful. And just want to tell to the audience that I had a discussion with one of the D2C brands, and they had told about this failure part that when you think about losing money or losing market share, so these are very minor things if you compare that somebody loses his child, right? So they give a different perspective altogether, and they said that just move on and just do the best thing. Okay, I'll just move to Abhinav because he has not got a chance to talk yet. So Abhinav is the VP of GoKwik, and Mr. Kumar Saurabh just talked about profitability, and he is the one, or his team is the one who is actually measuring profitability of different D2C brands. So Abhinav, why don't you share your stories and what GoKwik does for all the D2C brands?
Sure, thanks. So I just want to quickly bring about what GoKwik does. We realized just at the peak of COVID, almost 4 years back, right, D2C as an ecosystem is going to grow at a very fast pace, right? And what we realized that we wanted the founders of D2C brands to actually focus on the product, right? That's their core. So we said, how could we help them out, right? We realized technology is going to play the most important role for D2C to grow. So we thought, let us build some products which helps the D2C founders to focus on their main, and we take care of the rest, right? So today at GoKwik, we built multiple products trying to help optimize the funnel for all D2C founders. Think of it like, for example, today how business happens on Amazon, we want the same experience to happen on the D2C website, right? So today everything we work for, we build for is providing a better experience at the founders. So we have multiple products. I don't want to get too deep into it, but broadly, one core problem, which is very India, unique, is India is almost a 70% cash on delivery market. A lot of D2C founders who start their business, when you open the first website, you will see 90% orders coming on COD, right? With people mature, they reach to 80 and 70, right? And with this 90% comes a unique problem of RTO, right? Which people order but don't accept, right? So it's a very crazy problem. And we started off GoKwik with solving this problem. We said, this is one thing that we need to solve for our founders. We built a unique ecosystem. Today, GoKwik works with almost 1,500 odd brands. We built a network of almost 120 plus million users. We use all this network intelligence to help brands grow, solve for optimization, to help improve the conversion rates on the website. We help you solve for RTO. Multiple other products just help the brand grow. That's been our journey largely. In terms of profitability, I would say from a D2C perspective, I would look at it to each brand his own. How we'll look at it, some brands would want to be in the growth journey in the beginning and then look at optimizing. And there are other founders who say, no, I want to be profitable from day one, right? So how you look at it, how do you want to position your brand is all unique to each category. It's very difficult for me to generalize that, a particular brand has to be profitable from day one, not necessarily, right? It's how you envision the journey is what makes a difference.
Wonderful. I'll move to Harsh. Harsh, I know that people are struggling with profitability these days, and they are talking about more bottom line than top line. But in your journey, you started considering this factor from day one. From your first order itself, it was a profitable business. So, what was the key mantra you have taken since your inception? If you can just share that with all of us.
No, absolutely. I think, to be very honest, we didn't really have a choice. We were bootstrapped from 2013 till end 2018. So for the first 5.5 years, we were completely bootstrapped. Started the company with around 5.5 lakhs, which was the total savings all of us had. So we were very clear that we had to make money from the first order itself, right? Obviously your LTV, CAC, etc. and all, as the company scales, these are numbers and metrics you start looking at. But when you have no money to play with, if you're burning money on discounts to acquire users, you're going to fail. If you continuously expect that price is going to be the lever that gets customers back, it's a race to the bottom unless you have tons of funding in the bank. What helped us gain traction initially when the Soul Store as a brand obviously was not very well known or well heard of was our partnerships with various licensors. So for example, the fact that I'm selling an official Disney product or a Warner product or a Harry Potter product, this helped us get credibility. It helped us make our marketing a lot more efficient. It helped the brand gain the trust of customers that were looking at our ads and clicking on it. And then obviously once the customer does come to your website, ensuring the experience is great, making sure that the product quality is great. If a customer has absolutely any issues, you are going out of your way to solve it and build the trust. These are obviously larger, sort of longer term things that were built into the business from the first day itself.
Sorry for the inconvenience, guys. Yeah, I think so.
Hello?
Okay, so again, we lost the last 5 seconds.
Yeah, sorry for that. So as I was mentioning, our partnerships with Disney, Warner, Harry Potter, Friends, etc. helped us build a lot of credibility initially. So when people saw our ads and they saw that we were selling official merchandise, the click-through and the return on your ads is significantly better. And once a customer comes on your platform, making sure they have a great experience, making sure that the product quality is great. If they have any issues, you're solving them immediately, and building that trust was obviously then on the brand. We've seen that change a lot over the last 10 years, right? In the last, say, 3-4 years when there was, or last 2-3 years rather, when there was free money in the market, lots of brands were raising money at crazy valuations, burning money to sort of scale. And we always questioned ourselves, are we the people who are not understanding what's going on? We keep focusing on sustainable, sensible growth. We don't want to go crazy with our discounts and our branding spends. And I think somewhere again in the last 12 months or 18 months, VCs are now focusing on profitability at all costs. So a lot of brands have had to change their DNA, their ways of working to focus on profitability over growth and scale. And for us, the sort of good news has been that this is something that's already been factored into the DNA of the business since day one. And personally, as a founder, I'm very happy that VCs and brands are focusing more on sustainable, practical, profitable growth versus just burning money at all costs. Obviously, it's very dependent on the industry and the life cycle of the startup. But as long as there is a clear path to profitability, I think we're building longer term sustainable businesses.
Wonderful. And I'll move to Mohit because Mohit's business is also going drastically, 100% year on year, right? And this is a segment which you have derived and you find a gap in the market and you are profitable from day one. So why don't you share your theory about that?
No, I mean, for us, finding the gap and crafting it as per consumer needs was very, very important. So how we did this was by obsessing, understanding our consumers on a very deeper level. How they look at handbag purchase, where they're buying it from, what is the exact thing that they want to flaunt, how many bags do they buy, what kind of experience, utility. So we collated it all together. This is a highly competitive market, right? Handbag is not a market where there is 2, 5, 10 brands, but in fact there are hundreds of brands out there. And crafting a space in a crowded market is very, very difficult. But we did understand, and as a founder, I myself obsessed over understanding consumer needs from coming onto the D2C channels, from our ads, from our imagery, to getting to the website and their experience of making a purchase, and partners like GoKwik to help you increase your conversion rates. Then your delivery experience, your packaging experience. 90% of the consumers generally will repeat purchase from you. There is a study, if your packaging experience is great, because the kind of gratification that you are able to relate with the consumers are on high level. So yeah, I think all of these has been key factors. And in D2C, what's one thing which is very strong that you need to build on your businesses is repeat. So we have built our mechanism or ecosystem in such a way that we want consumers to make repeat purchases from us, so our lifetime value for consumer goes high, and that's how you're able to make profitability in D2C space. Because with rising acquisition cost, you need to find smarter ways to either acquire the consumer at a cheaper cost or get them to repeat purchase from you. So we do launch bags every month rather than launching bags as per collections, because we do believe there is no seasonality in fashion bags. So I think keeping all of these factors in mind, again, there is no fixed mantra for all the brands to be followed. I mean, for every brand, every category, at every stage, the strategy works very differently. But to be lambi race ka ghoda, the profitability is very, very important. Now it depends if it is coming from day one or if it is at a certain scale. But to sustain profitability is very, very important, and path to it should be clear to you from day one, even if the profitability is not hitting you from the day one.
Wonderful. I just want to ask you a follow-up question on the imagery part, because images creates a storytelling effect to your audience, and many people doesn't understand that. When you are talking about online first brand, your PDP page carries a huge impact when you are telling a story through those images. So how do you plan that for accessory brands?
No, so I think when I started this brand, one thing that I noticed, and as a consumer myself, I was always inclined towards international brands while making a purchase for myself. And when I was starting up Miraggio, I asked why. And the answer was the aspirational value somewhere down the line was entirely missing. And I realized that in D2C space, how can you actually create aspiration? And content, packaging, how your website look and feel was very, very important. And when I looked at past brands, big giant companies like Aditya Birla and Reliance, who have created multiple big fashion brands in Indian market, I could see that they have built great businesses, but probably not relatable to modern new age consumers of today or Gen Z and millennial. They might not find it very aspirational as they would look at Zara's of the world or any other international brand. So we made sure that from day one that our content will be a key, because in the online space, you can't really touch and feel the product. So how can you actually make them, feel aspirational with your imagery? And when I initially started spending money on shoots, my families and friends used to always tell me that I used to pay you spending so much money on the shoots. But I think one of the biggest reason of Miraggio's success was the imagery, because I think that's the first touch point of a consumer when they look at your brand and they build a perception out of it. And depending on that is the second step, if they're going to click on your ad and visit and experience your brand or not. So I think for any D2C brand, the content is the most important aspect, not just for fashion industry, but food industry or any kind of industry. It is very, very important. But the strategy and the context can change depending on your product and audience.
Okay, so we have a shortage of time, but one quick question to Ankit. Performance marketing versus brand marketing, which one is your preference?
I would say that the both has to go hand in hand. So I will not say one performance marketing can create a brand and the other one will not. So I think depending upon which category you are into and how you can entice the customer. So I agree with him that in our space, that your repeat is the only key. So you do it through performance marketing or brand marketing. The repeat customers have to come for D2C.
But you are saying that it has to be parallel. Like
Depends upon categories. For his category, might be performance marketing is relevant, but for my category, might be brand marketing is playing a major role. Like aspirational value can be different for different brands, but for personally in Litmus, we focus on brand marketing more. We want to give the customer the differentiation to understand what they are buying first. So once the consumer understand what are you trying to buy, because now all the buying pattern is to an extent is influenced. So it is, I think the brand marketing in our aspect, but in other case it might be the other one.
And Surender, if you can touch upon, because yours is all a different distinct brand altogether. So did you focus more on brand positioning than performance?
No, I think, depending on the stage where you are in your journey, I would say, saying that exactly both goes hand in hand is a correct way, but I think the percentage of initial, you will spend more on performance and then little bit on...
you need transactions,
yeah,
you need
transaction.
money.
So once people start, transacting with your brand or engaging with your website and all, I think then every stage, brand is not just a brand marketing which can be defined in one a chapter or something. I think it's a complete overall experience. Even as you rightly said that, even your packaging, once a customer receives your packet, that's also a chance of huge brand building, as a concept. So it's a complete experience and it's not a one instant which will create a brand. So you can't define this is for branding or this is for performance. I think, but overall, you have to see that wherever the touch point of your customer is, if you should put yourself into the shoes of a customer. This, what will you think when you receive a packet like this, or a story which is written in the packet like that. So it's a combination of it, and once you mature, I think then more of your lifetime value is created through your branding, and performance marketing is to give them the first experience.
Wonderful. I'll just quickly close this with a quick rapid fire. Mr. Saurabh, so your first question to you is, whatever is coming first in your mind, you have to answer. Okay. What's your favorite brand apart from yours?
I can only think of mine.
Okay. Abhinav, offline or online?
I think it's a combination.
Omni is the answer.
Omni is the answer. Correct.
Okay. Mohit, your question is profitability versus branding. Yeah.
I think both. I mean, branding, because ultimately, if you have a strong brand, profitability will hit you. Yeah.
Harsh, iOS, yeah, Android.
iOS.
iOS?
Very,
so
very
your most of the
intuitive. Yeah,
customers are coming from iOS, rich customers.
No, I just think it's a very aspirational brand and it's just so easy to use. I keep joking, if my mom never used a cell phone, she would be able to use an iPhone more easily than an Android phone, and I think that pretty much explains why they built a great product.
Okay. Surender, what is the first go-to brand in grocery store?
In grocery store. So it's been, nowadays it's online.
You are not doing grocery shopping at all. Your wife is doing that.
Yeah, but I think in online there are a few.
Mohit, newly married man. What's your first brand come in your mind in a grocery store?
I don't do it, but Blinkit.
Okay, thank you everybody. So I think we had a session which was insightful. I hope you guys have learned something. We had shortage of time. We had a lot of questions, but could not address all the questions from all these big giants here. Thank you so much for all of your time. Thank you, Harsh, joining online. It was better if you were here. We could have chatted offline. Thank you so much.